NFL schedule dropped, which means we know week 15, 16, 17, the full playoff schedule. But there's still a lot of things we don't know in our early drafts, especially in Best Ball Mania, the big best ball tournaments. How do we navigate these early drafts? We're trying to get an edge. Maybe we think there's some edges in drafts, but there's also some real flaws to drafting early. So how do we stack those edges and minimize those flaws in our early Underdog Best Ball Mania drafts? That's what we're going to do today, and then hop in a draft and see if we can't put those to use here on Spike Week with me, Erik Beimfohr. Let's do it. Good afternoon or good morning, GM. What's poppin'? It's a wonderful, hot as hell Thursday here in St. Louis. We skipped right past the nice weather on into the heat. So it's nice to be indoors like the nerds and sickos that we are, drafting some best ball teams today. We're going to talk a little bit about, we're all going to draft all summer, right? And we're excited. All the tournaments are out. Right? Underdog, we're going to talk about Best Ball Mania today. DraftKings is out. Drafters is out. Fast Draft is out. FFPC is out. There's tons of places to go get our action down. And of course, now we have the schedule, right? So we got bye weeks. We got the playoff matchups, right? We got all this stuff to work with now. But we're still missing like a whole lot of information that we're going to want or we're going to get later on as the summer progresses, right? We're still far away from training camp. We're even further away from having any idea who is where on each depth chart, which guys that maybe we didn't foresee rise up the depth charts. There's going to be RB2s that we didn't expect. There's going to be guys cut that we didn't expect. Hopefully, no injuries, but frankly, there's generally some form of injuries over the course of the summer. There's a lot of stuff that we don't know. And so when we talk about drafting right now, right, it is May 15th. As of this recording, when we talk about drafting right now, what we're trying to do is gain an edge based on the stuff that we have available to us right now and combat and beat the teams that, of course, we'll draft later too. But how do we beat the August teams that have all that information? They have every essential, roster at least. Maybe if we don't know the full depth chart, like, this isn't Madden. The teams don't just like lay out the depth chart and it goes exactly robotically in order of that depth chart. There's nuance, of course, but we'll have so much more information later. This time last year, we really did not have the information about the San Francisco 49ers backfield, right? There's just some things we can't foresee. We can guess, we can speculate about Kyren Williams a couple of years ago with the Rams. We can speculate about Jordan Mason over Eli Mitchell. We can speculate about CMC's not healthy. We can do tons of speculation, but we're also going to be wrong a lot because it's nothing but speculation. There's no news. The coaches don't know at this point. They may have a good idea, but they're not going to tell us. We don't know so much stuff. So what do we do? Right? We're still going to draft right now, and there's still a lot of reasons to draft right now. So the easily number one thing that always comes to my mind at this point in the summer is literally just why not wait? Why even draft right now? Right? Someone might say, okay, that doesn't sound good. Everything that you just outlined. I'm drafting teams right now, and I didn't know Jordan Mason was a thing, and he really became a thing. Last year, he was, got hurt, but one of the best picks on the board last season. We didn't know at this point in time. So why wouldn't I just wait? Well, we can build super teams right now. There's combinations of players with the lack of news that also creates opportunity. With the lack of certainty that creates opportunity. That creates the ability for us to build teams that August drafters, that our good friend Self says, how do I beat that future me? Right? How do I beat the future me that's drafting in August? How is the team I'm drafting right now going to beat the team I draft in August and everybody else drafts in August? It's shooting for these super teams, trying to find the spots that we won't be able to get these combinations of players together. We won't be able to get certain players at certain prices. Some of that is also going to be unpredictable, but some of it we can guess a little bit, right? On identify situations that seem like clear risers, right? If you've been following this channel at all over the course of the last couple of weeks, you've heard all about. We did a show, myself and Davis Maddock, talking about the best picks in every round. I did a show last week as well about the best kind of value picks at each position, which is a little bit different than best picks in each round. Tons of those kinds of guys that we can find right now that can be a significant edge. And then when we find them, right, we all are going to have different ones, right? I go into every draft trying to draft Will Shipley, right? Like I'm trying to draft Will Shipley. I'm kind of going into every draft trying to draft Rashee Rice. I'm kind of going into every draft trying to draft Jordan Mason again. I'm going into drafts with certain edges, right? There's certain offenses. I've outlined a bunch of times how this is a little bit more expensive version of this, but the Philadelphia Eagles passing game is a really big priority for me. I think it's silly that A.J. Brown has gotten really depressed in price, and Devontae Smith and Dallas Goedert, even Jalen Hurts is at a good price, right? And then, of course, the Will Shipley. So the Eagles, clearly to me, is like one of those edges. When I identify these edges, and again, we all have different ones. You may like the Patriots. The Patriots are a very cheap offense, right? Travion Henderson is the most expensive player, and he's a rookie running back in the 6th round of drafts. Stephon Diggs, who, of course, is coming off an injury, but probably the alpha wide receiver, right? If you think that Hunter Henry is underpriced or Ramondre Stevenson is underpriced, certainly you would then think Drake May is underpriced. Once you establish those edges, this is not the time to be backing off of those edges, because the whole point in drafting right now is to find whatever edge that is. And it's not just one thing, right? I'm not saying go in and draft 100%, although I am kind of trying to get 100% of a couple of guys. Slight hyperbole, but not entirely. Once I found my edges, let's press them. Like, right? Like, if I'm not going to press the edges right now when there's so much uncertainty, there's no news, right? There's nothing to react to except for what I believe my edges are. And that could be, we all have different ones. But once I've established what that edge is, what those edges are, press them, right? Otherwise, just wait, And I don't think any of us want to wait, and if it doesn't have to be a player, maybe you think it's a structural thing, right? But oftentimes, most of us, like this is fun. We're putting our player takes to the test. We're putting our team takes to the test. We're trying to predict these guys that are going to rise and going to fall and all that kind of stuff. Amen. Slap that like button. I agree. And this is it exactly. Go get your guys. Go get your guys. Don't panic about, oh my God. What you'll see some of it when we do the BBM, some of my exposures and how insane they are on certain players. You can always stop drafting a player. You can always stop. And the dream is that they rise to such a level and you've got your bags packed that you're not sweating, right? We get to camp and my boy Will Shipley is wowing the coaches. Saquon they're talking, right? Saquon had 1 million touches last year, but we want to back that down a little bit in the regular season, right? We don't need to run Saquon into the ground in the regular season. We want to give Will Shipley, because he looks awesome. I don't know if you've seen the squatting video. He's not quite Jalen Hurts or Saquon or Nick Chubb, but a strong little fella is Will Shipley. They're like, we really want to give Will a lot more work. What do you think is going to happen if we get to camp and you get that? And that's just one. I'm not saying that's going to happen. I'm saying that's one example of many that can happen over the course of the summer. We're going to get hype pieces and coach quotes and all this kind of stuff. And what I like to think about right now is, if I get that on a guy, am I going to be cool backing off, or am I going to be chasing the steam, which is not what I want to do, right? Ideally, you can still draft guys as they rise in price, right? You don't have to get the perfect closing line value on every single player. You need to actually draft them, not just try to go deposit your 15 teams of CLV at the bank. I've tried. They don't take it. They look at me quite funny, actually, when I don't win a best ball tournament, but I got awesome value, right, on my Jordan Mason teams last year, on my 8th round Rashee Rice teams. They don't care. that you got great closing line values. You can chase them, but you want to be in a position that you don't feel like you're chasing your tail and like you're chasing that steam. So press the edge and identify those things that you think are most impactful. In line with that, how I would classify this is a little bit more so later round guys, generally later round guys. And this is kind of two parts. We want to attack uncertain situations, right? So again, we'll keep using these same tried and true guys and just really steam up their fucking price. But like again, the market is like, I guess, not sure that Will Shipley is the backup. I've heard AJ Dillon mentioned like way too many times already. Not like by you guys or even like other content creators, just like, right, go search something on Twitter or whatever, and somebody mentions AJ Dillon. And it's like, so the market is not even seemingly certain that this player is the backup to the 102 overall to Saquon Barkley. So attack that, right? Because I think that situation that's a wrong take. And if I'm wrong, cool. But I'm willing to invest my money and my time on that situation because I think it is an edge that is uncertain. There's many of those, right? Oftentimes, like a backfield split. Who is the wide receiver 3, right? Is Pat Bryant actually going to start for the Broncos from day one? I don't know. I'm not sure I would bet on that, but is it going to be Troy Franklin? Is it going to be Devon Vele, like 28-year-old Devon Vele? I don't know. I'm willing to invest in the uncertain situations. But the key with a Will Shipley, with a Pat Bryant, with a whatever, maybe you like Tutu Atwell, maybe you like Darius Slayton, maybe you like Jarquez Hunter or Blake Corum. You like either one of those guys. They're uncertain situations, which creates a depressed price. That's what we want. That's the guy that when we get to camp, we're like, oh shit, the coach just said Jarquez Hunter is the backup to Kyren Williams. He comes skyrocketing up the boards, right? That's the situation we just talked about. The mistake I've personally made and the lesson I'm learning myself is those are uncertain situations. Those players are not uncertain roster spots for their NFL football team. I don't want to be investing in just because the situation is uncertain does not always mean that I have to invest in it, especially when it's so uncertain that none of these guys even have a lock on making the football team, right? Like I'm a big Taj Brooks fan. He was one of my favorite like last round running back picks in the big board cycle, right? The pre-draft cycle. He was up there as one of my favorite running backs. I think that there's a path to him even being the backup, spelling Chase Brown, right? I think that that's possible. I think he's a pretty good football player, and I think the situation is great. He has some hurdles to clear just to make the Bengals. That is not one of the situations I'm willing to chase right now. I can just Jarquez Hunter was a high draft capital player that the Rams are salivating apparently over with no hype about Blake Corum. Jarquez Hunter is going to make the team. Worst case scenario, I drafted the Rams RB3. Like that's not ideal, but it's I didn't draft a guy who's going to be trying to play in the CFL in a few months. I've done that too many times, right? I was an Evan Hull slappy or a Rasheen Ali slappy. Now this guy made the team, right? Kamani Vidal. That reeks of the Jaden Blue thing. We're chasing Jaden Blue all the way up into the 130s just because we hate Javonte Williams and Miles Sanders. Like, what if they just wait and get another veteran and Jaden Blue's on the practice squad? Like, I'm not saying that's going to happen. I'm saying I don't want to chase uncertain roster spots just yet. We're about to get that information. I don't have to invest in every situation. Like, it's okay. I want to press the edges that I believe exist right now. And maybe you think that those are edges, but I don't want to invest in spots that are so uncertain that I'm not even sure if this guy's going to make the football team. And so a lot of rookies at the end, a lot of like locked in veterans at the end of drafts where they're on the team. You may not love Tutu Atwell. You may not love Darius Slayton. You may not love De'Ami Brown. They're going to be on the team and probably playing. And is that the next Puka Nacua? Absolutely not. But we probably just can't find in May the next Puka Nacua, right? And if you do, okay, take a rookie, right? Take Isaac Tesla. I hate that it's pronounced Tesla, by the way. That's nonsense. So is the company pronounced wrong, or does having two A's at the end of your name say aw and one A? I'm not a whatever grammar or speaking. I'm not a speech pathologist, so I don't know what that means, but it doesn't make any sense to me. So I much prefer to call him Isaac Tesla, right? Dante Thornton, Chimeri DK, Alec Iomanner, like most these guys are like third, fourth round NFL draft picks. Those guys don't get cut. So when I'm investing in these uncertain situations, I want to do it in a smart way, so I'm not over invested in a guy who I look back and I'm like, I have 20% of some guy who's playing in the CFL, right? Along those lines, on the flip side, this is kind of the Jaden Blue type situation. This is the Kamani Vidal type situation. This is last year, Devontae Walker. I'm trying, there's a bunch. Roman Wilson. I did the Roman Wilson thing last year. Very stupid. Not that those were like truly bad picks. It's they became the poster boys for we have gotten no news. There's nothing. It's pure speculation, right? Kamani Vidal, we just hate Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins so much. We don't care that there's no news. And he just rises and rises and rises and rises, right? Roman Wilson, we don't have any news about how they value him. Sure, third round pick. Fine. Put him at the end of the drafts, but this guy's going really high in drafts. We're not getting news right now. And certain guys are really steaming up boards, right? Okay, if they move a little, whatever, who cares? If they move a ton way up without any news, fade is maybe not the right word, but I want to be very cautious with non-news risers, just like content creator or rankings risers. Those guys are scary. Let's hit a couple more bullet points here, and then I want to hit you guys. Comments. A way in which I think we can, and this works for like best ball. This is like a pillar of best ball, period. But a way to kind of manipulate these early drafts is finding just like truly undervalued offenses. Right? I mentioned the Patriots before. You just believe the Patriots are undervalued. Loading up on those guys in your cheaper rounds, again, with we don't got to go get into Javon Baker or something like that. Another guy who rose a little bit last year without any real news, just us speculating because we didn't like Kendrick Bourne and Kayshon Boutte. If there's an undervalued offense, you can stack them up, right? Include the running back, include the tight end, like load up on that offense. Look, if it stinks, it stinks. It's cheap for a reason. But when you can get this huge gain on a bunch of roster spots, as opposed to trying to go in the time of the most uncertainty, I want to allow myself to get the fewest amount of things right. And the easiest way to do that is give me these three offenses on this team. Now, I'm not saying draft like literally 18 guys from three offenses. Of course not. But I can load up a little bit more in these early drafts because I'm trying to get fewer things right in a time where it's really, really hard to get everything right because we just don't know. Best way to do it, correlate it, right? If it's wrong, it's wrong. Whatever. Most of our teams are probably wrong, right? There can only be one team that wins BBM out of hundreds of thousands of teams. But if it's right, I've hit on 3, 4, 5 pieces of my 18-man roster in the time when it was really, really hard to hit on all that. Because once we get into the double-digit rounds, most of these guys have a ton of uncertainty, outside of quarterbacks, essentially. Similar to what we talked about with some of the like news and all that and pressing your edges is thinking about some coach speak that could be coming. There are going to be situations that we just inherently know we're going to get the coach speak. Prepping for it, right? Shout out to our good friend Coach Speak Index. Make sure you're get the notifications turned on for his tweets, but also specifically I would go into his Discord. There's a lot better information from within there, and tons of good conversation around all the Coach Speak stuff that he's gathering. But being able to be out ahead of that, right? We don't want to only react once the coach comes out and says, Jordan Mason is our RB2. It's not too late then, But then we're doing the same thing that everybody else is doing, being out ahead of understanding which situations we need to be prepping for, right? Getting ready to pounce. We want to pounce. We want to pounce before everyone else pounces, right? The first that pounces gets the meat, right? Gets the worm, whatever. If we pounce first because we're prepped and ready, we know which situations we need to be ready for. That's what we can do. If you want to invest, right? I'm investing in Jarquez Hunter right now. Could I be completely wrong about that? Absolutely. But I'm prepping based on the information we've gotten so far, the coach speak that we've gotten so far about Jarquez Hunter, that I think that there's an opportunity that he's about to skyrocket. And I want to be on those guys. The only other thing, I think this is also similar to the undervalued offenses. I'm just drafting a higher volume, a higher quantity of running backs on really all of my teams in best ball this year. Again, this is not just an early strategy, but the thing about the early drafts is the running backs have more paths to this in this uncertain time coming through, even if the news doesn't break their way, right? Jarquez Hunter. The news doesn't break Jarquez Hunter or Will Shipley or Jalen Wright, right? It does. Ollie Gordon is the guy over Jalen Wright. It doesn't break one of those guys' way. We know they're going to make the team. We know that running backs have extra amounts of chaos that can play in their favor that get them on the field. And then once you're on the field as a running back, you're more likely to produce fantasy results, even if you're not that good. The wide receivers, okay, so you made the team, you even got on the field, but you're just not that good. You still don't score fantasy points. Like bad wide receivers don't really score fantasy points. Bad running backs might. You can be wrong about a running back that you draft now in May and still end up kind of right. Like not perfectly, but like look at Amir Abdullah last year. Was Amir Abdullah a good pick? No, right? Though he had a good week 17, which is kind of hilarious. But the season just played out in a funky way. And it was like, I don't know, Amir Abdullah was going to make the team. And I wasn't right because, Zamir got the first crack. Madison got the first crack, whatever. Didn't work out. But then it just like Zamir got hurt. Madison got hurt, whatever. It ended up kind of working out for Amir Abdullah. So more running backs give me more outs to that kind of thing playing out in my favor. So that's kind of some of our key notes there. Let's hit some of you guys' comments first. Let's see. Are you going back to the Dobbins well? Mr. had a big bag of Dobbins in the 180s last year. I would be curious to hear if somebody's going back to the Dobbins well, because I would get it. I understand it. It's not for me, but it's woof. J.K. Dobbins still unsigned, but that could be one of those risers, right? He certainly might rise. Certainly probably will rise. Will it be a worthwhile rise? I'm not sure. Let's see. Not yet for Mr. on J.K. Dobbins. Damien likes, for these purposes, Rico Dowdle. Hubbard and Dowdle had similar PFF grades, but are separated by like 100 plus picks. Totally fair. Rico Dowdle, backup for sure. Locked in backup to Chuba Hubbard. I don't personally think there's a path to him usurping Chuba, not in like a Rico Dowdle just took over the backfield. But is it much more of a split than, like you said, that 100 pick gap? I think that's very possible. And Rico Dowdle's making the team, and Rico Dowdle is locked into a role, right? That seems pretty good. Isaac Tesla equals IT guy. I mean, he looks more like an IT guy than he does difference making best ball picks. Stefan says at Tutu seems like a good pick. Like you just said, he's a best ball style player, probably should play a lot and is capable of long touchdown. Plus he's basically free. Yeah, I like Tutu a little bit more. Actually, I know it sounds weird because he is kind of like a big play-ish guy, but in only 18 rounds, he's definitely certainly in the mix for me. But DraftKings just gets a little thinner at the end. Whereas there's a few more guys on Underdog that I do like. So I have drafted him on all sites, but I think he's a good one, right? Going to play. They gave him an extension. They're paying him $10 million, which is absolutely hilarious. But nonetheless, I think a good pick. Harold Fannin, 100%. Harold Fannin, another perfect example of this. 3rd round pick, young player, going to make the team. I think he's really talented. How is it gonna work out? I don't really know. Does he need Njoku to get hurt? Is he just gonna play kind of a big slot role, a hybrid role? How are they gonna use him? I don't know. But I know that he's gonna make the Browns and probably play. How much? We'll see. But those are the kind of guys I definitely like. Mr. likes Justice Hill, another good one, right? It's not sexy, but Justice Hill flashed some fantasy upside. He is the passing down back. I know people want Keaton Mitchell to be a thing, but Keaton Mitchell is a runner. Like, he's not a receiver. He's not a pass protector. That's Justice Hill's job. So Keaton will probably become a thing if Derrick Henry gets hurt. But I think Justice Hill is like locked into the Justice Hill role, and then would likely get more if something were to happen to Derrick Henry. Let's see. Bad running backs can still fall in the end zone. Facts. The Miami Dolphins had the 4th most betting line projected points, weeks 15 to 17. That one surprised me. Atlanta 6. All offenses, blah, 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 blah. All offenses I wouldn't have thought would be high. Yeah, I think that's a reasonable take. Yeah, Jamal Williams just did it. Jamie says, missed the Discord. Yeah, it's if you have a subscription, there's a link to the Discord in the description of this video. If you have a subscription to Spike Week, the Discord is free for you. If you don't, it's just $5 a month. Damien, shout out, 52%. J.K. Dobbins, respect. Versaire says, as a last round pick, Dobbins still has a chance to sign with the Bears. I'm still taking clicks on Chubb for the same reason. If any of them, Bears, right? Cowboys, like there's spots here. There's definitely spots for some of these guys. So I get it, right? I like some of the younger guys a little bit better, but I really have no pushback. And I think that those are fine guys to do right now, right? It's like the getting in on them before we get the news, right? Other guys are rising without news, and these guys are falling without news just because they haven't signed yet. And the moment that they sign, they're going to go up. I don't want to necessarily draft players strictly because I think they're going to go up, but also it's not a total negative either. Kind of want Chuba Hubbard just to be good, not because I think one thing or the other about him for best ball. I'm with you. I like Chuba. Also incredibly biased because we were heavy on Chuba last year. So, it's always nice to have one of your guys that you liked be a nice little hit. But let's go ahead and see if we can't put this to the test in a Best Ball Mania draft. 30 seconds. If you would like to join us, we're doing that. I can barely navigate a 30-second draft on stream. Oh, we need 10. So we'll see how this goes. If there's 10 of you here hanging out, let's fill this BBM and let her rip. But let's see. Walter, do you have a favorite KC running back dart? Yeah. Almost swallowed some ice. Favorite KC running back dart for me is Eli Mitchell. Obviously, I like Pacheco quite a bit. You can give a big old nah wave to Kareem Hunt. I'll tell you that much. No thank you on Kareem Hunt. But Brashard Smith is like an interesting little player. But little being the key word. I think Brashard Smith, is one of those guys that has to make the team. This is my concern with the KC running back dart. I have taken a non-zero amount of Eli Mitchell, and it makes me squeam. I did this yesterday. Squeamish, makes me whatever. Makes me feel very uncomfortable when I draft. Frankly, any of the KC guys. But if I were going to do it, it would be Eli Mitchell. I think Brashard Smith is a 7th round pick in the NFL draft, and while he's a fun and exciting player, I just don't want to make that bet right now. We could get it right. We did this last year. Deneric Prince, Carson Steele. it's rough. It's just one I think we want to wait for. And even last year we waited and we got all that hype on Prince and Steele and whatever. And Deneric Prince didn't make the team and Carson Steele was useless because all they said was, nah, you're not good enough. Let's bring in Kareem Hunt and Samaje Perine. So I'm waiting it out. If I had to pick one, it would be Eli Mitchell right now. Queasy is what I'm looking for. Squeamish. I like it. Squeezy. It's going to make me squeezy. Squeamish plus queasy. So glad you're healed from Eli last year. The positive, I will say, pat myself on the back, which last year didn't allow me that many opportunities to do lots of L's from last season. But I was like semi in on Eli Mitchell last year. I'm just we still need 4, by the way, for the 32nd BBM draft. I see a bunch of you watching this. Come join us, and we can hang out and rip this team. I got out on Eli. I'm very happy that I got out 3 more. I am very happy that I got out on Eli Mitchell pretty early last year because it was one of those. They do really like Jordan Mason. Are we sure? Right. We were real confident that Eli Mitchell was the guy. And I think we got some indications a lot earlier than we would like to admit that wasn't so sure. That wasn't as certain as we thought that it was. And so that was actually a lesson for me that I kind of learned the lesson in the moment last year with Eli Mitchell and backed off really quickly. And then once we got confirmation, pounced on Jordan Mason. But that's like one of the better early draft lessons. And then Eli Mitchell, see ya, bye-bye. Doesn't make the team, right? BKS. I'm maxing out in May. Also, a good-looking dog in your Abby there. Give me all that CLV. Shout out. Good luck. I wish you good luck, sir. I'm with you. Best balling on the waiting for more information on the KC backfield. I am right there with you. It's not that I don't see a lot of potential there. I see also just so much uncertainty about who even makes the team. They're not going to keep all those running backs, and I don't have, other than Pacheco, I don't have the slightest idea who is going to make the team. And so we'll get news. We'll get news on that one. Yeah, Squeam. This is the Squeam. Another, all these, the draft is filled. Another gorgeous looking dog. We got a lot of amazing dog abbies here in the, oh, look at that. The 101, baby. We are running pure. We are running pure. Look at that. 22% Jamar Chase. About to get that, ratchet that baby up to about 30%. 30% Jamar Chase. Okay, Peppertoni, your dog, which looks awfully like a goose, is cute. I did see, I did post. I like to go for walks and draft, and we got a big old pond in our neighborhood. Some cute little baby geese. Two sets of parents and they each had two baby geese. So maybe it was you, Peppertoni, your dog, aka your goose. Let's see. Somebody asked a question, and I'm so sorry that I missed it. Clint, how do you suggest I'm taking Jamar Chase, by the way, at the 101? Let's pull up the board. How do you suggest going about balancing ADP versus rankings, and what number delta between the two starts? What delta between the two starts to give you pause? As in, where you're putting guys in your rankings relative to ADP, or where you're willing to select them versus ADP? Because I don't really, the rankings that I put up, spikeweek.com, which of course you get as you get the tools, you get the rankings, you get all the content, you get the Discord, everything, $40 a month or $300 a year. You can check that out. The rankings that I do for all the sites, right? For all the sports, NBA, MLB, whatever, college football, I can't wait for college football DFS, by the way. I don't adjust for ADP. There's probably a little bit of like natural, like it seeps into your brain and you adjust for it a little bit in the rankings. I rank the players where I think they should go, like in order. That does lead to some tweaking, a little bit over the course of the summer, because that's going to change as I get more reps in. But I don't really worry about the ADP. For like, the rankings are the rankings, right? Like, where do you rank this player? Like, for me, I approach it how I would want it. And I know not everybody wants that. Tell me who you like better. That's what a ranking is, right? When people do power rankings for NFL teams, they don't adjust for what the fans think, which is like which is ADP, right? Market sentiment. I don't say, well, I think that the Eagles are the best team, but the fans think that the Chiefs are, so I'm going to move the Eagles down one. Like, tell me who you think is best. That's what I do with the rankings. And so that does not mean, right? I'm sure anyone here that has looked at the rankings, that does not mean to draft every single player where I have them in the rankings, because some of them are way higher. So when I put those rankings like that, it's up to the person to kind of figure out when to dive in. Again, like a Will Shipley, especially at this point in the off season, the rankings are very different from ADP. So I just don't worry about ADP. I create the rankings for how I think that they should. And then, so when to select them, it's tough. That's easily the toughest part. I think the only way to answer that is like, get your reps in and start to see. There's also certain guys like this room where Will Shipley is going to go, where Trey Harris is going to go, where some of the guys that I really like are going to go is going to be different. And so you can try and push it plenty of the time, but also if you want to get your exposure, like I'm trying to do, you got to be willing to reach a little bit. And there's no, unfortunately, like one straight answer, but I think you'll get a feel for it. The more, like, I think becoming a good basketball player is more so, not more so, but just as much about getting your reps in. You start to get really comfortable with when to take those guys, right? Like, when do you take the guy that you have ranked 4 rounds ahead of ADP? When do you push it? When do you, set up backdoor stacks versus stack with your first round pick? When do you do all that kind of stuff? It's just like all reps, right? Look at our boy Salf in the 7th spot doing. I think didn't we talk about this? Best Ballin was in the lab last night. I know Salf was in the lab last night, and I believe that the one of the pull him up ideas was with Brock Bowers. So Salf trying out the old pull up Brock Bowers. OMG, getting Malik Neighbors BTJ at the turn. Hello, who doesn't love that? Puka AJ Brown. Wow, and I am back on the clock. Did one of you guys? Thank God somebody took T, so I don't have to do that. All right. Let's see. I'm gonna take Garrett Wilson. As you can see, I have not drafted Garrett Wilson yet on Underdog, and I've got a bunch of my exposure combinations here. They're gonna mostly be 0 to start, right? Because I have it like with my first quarterback, with my first running back, and I don't have either of those yet. But you can see like my percentages with like here down Tyreek Hill, 50% of Tyreek Hill with each of the guys I've drafted so far. So it's not to say don't draft them. I am gonna scroll on down a little bit. I'm trying to get a bunch of Rashee Rice with different combinations of him so far, and I don't have him with Garrett Wilson yet. So I'm gonna pull up Rashee Rice. AW says it seems bad to have your first and second round picks cannibalizing each other in a 600-person tournament. It's so interesting because I agree with this like wholeheartedly. And then there's also still some scenarios where it has really worked, like specifically with the Bengals, man. These goddamn Bengals, they can't keep getting away with this. Like, they truly can't keep getting away with this. It's absolutely nuts. They don't necessarily have to, right? Your first and second round pick don't have to like automatically count in your lineup in week 17 or in any playoff week. they can ping pong back and forth with big games, which is frankly what the Bengals have done. And it's absolutely infuriating because they keep doing, like I said, they keep getting away with this ping ponging effect and just going nuts over the course of the fantasy playoffs. So I think it's okay. I don't love doing it, and I'm not going to do it very much because it's done so frequently. It's done so frequently. Everybody sets up their Bengal stacks. Now people are going to set up them with their Cardinals, right? Like, I did not take Marvin Harrison. I thought about it, but I haven't drafted Garrett Wilson yet. So I wanted to get a little Garrett Wilson, especially with Jamar Chase. Let's see. Yeah, the Bengals defense is going to be absolutely awful again. I'm toying around with this too. I don't know how much Chase Burrow I'm going to have because it's going to be like the most popular combination. Chase Burrow, T Burrow, like they're going to be so popular. Yeah, the BBM winner did have the BBM winner. I don't remember if it was the BBM winner or maybe it was the DraftKings winner. The DraftKings winner had Devontae Adams instead of Amon-Ra. Amon-Ra wasn't even awesome that year. It was just CD was so good. And it's one of those things where you can't just look at the winner. Like if you had Devontae Adams over Amon-Ra St. Brown, got to week 17, you dunked on, like you gained like 20 points on the Amon-Ra team with Devontae Adams. So it's like this push-pull of like, sure, you could have won with Amon-Ra, but you could have more easily won with Devontae Adams because you just straight up outscored Amon-Ra by 20 points. It's push-pull. I totally agree that you where's the question? Oh, there it is. Seems like it's okay to have a little chalk. Definitely. You do not have to like fade the popular combinations by any stretch of the imagination. I just think you need to be cognizant of the fact that they are really popular. And so like, how are you going to navigate your drafts? How often are you going to take them together? I think is probably the more appropriate thing, right? When Burrow Chase is crazy popular. Burrow Chase T, right? Now Marvin Harrison's going to be thrown in there. Trey McBride, because they play in week 17. Once you realize that that's how it works, I think you can act accordingly. But just ho-hum, I'm just going to keep drafting the same combinations of players that everybody else does and be oblivious to the fact that everybody has that same pairing. You show up to the final, and it's like, oh my God, there's 600 teams, and 50% of the CD teams have Amon-Ra. It's like, and 2 have Devontae Adams. Like, I would rather be in the 2, than the 40 or whatever it is. So yeah. Let's see, Demo. I saw you joined the Discord, by the way. Shout out to you. That's where you lost me on rankings last year. Had no idea you rank like that. Makes sense now hearing you explain it. Yeah, I should probably honestly, it's a good shout. I should put that on the rankings page to be like, here's the rankings process. It's kind of stupid that I haven't done that, by the way. But yeah, I know that it's different than I'm not. That's no judgment how anybody does their rankings. That's just how I prefer it, and that's how I like. If I'm looking at somebody else's rankings, I'm like, tell me who you like. Don't tell me I have him 6 spots ahead because I adjusted him, right? I actually really love this guy. But I'm like, do you love him or not? Like, I want to know, like, tell me what you really feel. Don't adjust. Tell me how you really feel. I can adjust for ADP myself in the draft, but I can't get in your brain and see where you actually like that guy. I can adjust for ADP. I can see the ADP during my draft. I know where they go. You don't need to adjust it for me. Tell me what you like. You know what I mean? So that's just where I come from with it. All right, let's see what we got here. See, there's Burrow. I'm gonna skip the Burrow thing. Let's see what we do here. I've got Harvey on several Chase teams. I just really don't like DK Metcalf. I took Rice. I'm gonna do the Sutton thing. I know. Donkey week 17, brained. And then I haven't drafted JMO either. I'm gonna do a little JMO action. Lions, I believe it was Ralph in the chat. I can't remember. I think it was Ralph in the Discord that said Lions, one of the only teams with all 3 playoff weeks are dome games. Trust me, I have not mastered the schedule, but hold on, let me look at it over here. JMO at the Rams, at home, and at Minnesota. So yeah, Lions three straight dome games. Of course, you can see that over here with the draft hacker. So yeah, I'm into JMO. Mixing this team up a little bit. Obviously, a mega 0 RB start. See, I said a higher quantity. That's the most interesting part actually about like running backs in best ball is I would almost guarantee you I draft more a higher quantity of, like, people say like, oh, I love running backs or whatever. It's like I love running backs more than anyone because I draft more of them. It's just I don't necessarily draft that many early, right? I'm very picky. Now I am drafting more early this year than I ever have. I actually love where I just took two wide receivers, but I love Brees. I've taken a bunch of Brees. I really like Hampton. I really like RJ Harvey. I really like Trevion Henderson. I'm going to have non-zero Christian McCaffrey. I'm going to have non-zero probably Jonathan Taylor and Achane and like whatever. A little more on DraftKings because those rooms are so forgiving. But yeah, I'm going to draft a higher quantity of running backs and then just let the season, right? Shake them all, shake 7 running backs up on all my teams and roll the dice and see if we hit Yahtzee. You know what I mean? We'll probably hit Snake Eyes, or what's the equivalent to Snake Eyes and Yahtzee? I don't even know what that would be. But not Yahtzee is what's going to happen most of the time. But you just pray, right? Pray you shook it up, which is the interesting thing. You could have won BBM last year. We did this experiment. We did this experiment last night in the lab, which of course is part of in the Discord. If you're hanging out, if you have a subscription in the Discord, Wednesday nights at 6 p.m. Eastern, we all hop on a Zoom, hang out, have a good time, talk best ball. And we were like using our draft rewind tool to see if we could put together, right, winning teams from last BBM. How could you draft a winning team now that we know the results? It seems easy, but you actually could have won BBM with like James Conner RB1. And people are like, what? It was the year of the running back. It's like, actually, with James Conner, right, and Bucky, maybe Chuba, Chase Brown, if you shook all those guys up and you rolled out the dice, you could hit Yahtzee with actually but you needed a quantity. You needed a quantity of running backs for it all to fit together, right? That actually you run into trouble sometimes with the elite running backs that even when Saquon smashes, you don't take as many running backs. So like even if I take Saquon this year or Gibbs, who I do really like, I still want to take a little bit more running backs because the nature of the running back position is very strange, right? Guys just pop up for like a game. And them popping up for like a game is not the same way that a wide receiver pops up for a game, right? Like Tyquan Thornton, he caught two balls for 50 yards and a touchdown, and hooray, he hit my flex for 12 points. The running back pops up and it's like, oh shit, that guy got 25 touches and scored 27 fantasy points. You know, so I just want to draft more, higher quantity of running backs, not necessarily a more high-end draft capital on running backs. Detroit and Houston has the two full dome. There goes Judkins. See, look here. Are you ready? I haven't drafted Laporta yet either. Do I take Caleb or let's do this Lions thing? Yeah, let's do this Lions thing. This was unexpected. I have not drafted Laporta yet. I don't think on any ever at all. I didn't draft Laporta at all last year, and I haven't drafted him yet this year. But this is fun. Get a little Lions thing going. JMO, Laporta, Demont. Get Goff ready in the back pocket with a bunch of stud wide receivers. Stack the Lions with a bunch of elite wide receivers. That seems good. Ragnar says quantity over quality. Exactly, because we don't even have any goddamn idea what a quality running back looks like. Nobody thought Chuba was a quality running back last year. if we all thought Bucky was such a quality running back, he wouldn't have gone in the 15th round or whatever of drafts. Nobody thought Jordan Mason was quality, or Kyron Williams was, a couple years ago, was quality. Like I said, Amir Abdullah was like the RB5 in week 17. It's like opportunity over quality, which in turn means, well, if I'm gonna luck box my way into the opportunity, and it's all gonna fit together, right? This guy gets opportunity in weeks 1 through 6, and then this guy gets opportunity for a month because so and so sprained his ankle, right? Or this guy gets opportunity for 2 games. Bijan gets a concussion, right? He's not out for the whole season, but he gets a concussion in week 15. Now you get Algier for 16 and 17, right? Like whatever. There's just so many funky ways that running back scoring comes together, and like we can't predict that. We might be able to predict who some of the best picks are at running back. I'm doing that. You're doing that. We're all doing that. But like how the scores all blend together, good luck. Good luck. So that's why I want more. Favorite week 17 matchups. I haven't dug into it that much. We do have our let me just pull it up really quickly while we're pull up the playoff schedule. Week 17. Well, anything with the Bengals. So Arizona, Cincy for sure, and Dallas, Washington. I know those are probably the 2 that have stuck out to me the most. I think Indy, Jacksonville is pretty darn sneaky at home. Colts in the Dome, and then Rams, Atlanta. I mean, Miami, Tampa. There's a lot of good ones, and then even the bad ones, I'm drafting them because we're so bad. We're so bad at predicting who are the best week 17 games. This is one thing I definitely am very slow to if I'm slow to memorize week 17 because I don't need it because it's just on right. It's on my screen when I'm drafting. And so I'm struggling to memorize week 17 like I used to. I'll have it in a while or whatever because we just draft so many teams, but I never memorize the buys. It takes forever. Dallas, Washington is definitely fire. Yeah. By the way, we're drafting Sean Tucker. Definitely drafting Sean Tucker round 20 on DraftKings and even round 18 on Underdog. Yeah, sign me up. This is incredibly well said. Nolan says you can luck box into quality and quantity at running back. It's not impossible at wide receiver, but it's pretty goddamn hard. Whereas at running back, it's like it just happens, right? Chuba and Bucky and those guys, those are not. They happened to hit, right? Chase Brown, those guys happen to hit, but that shit happens every year across several running backs. Like Algier is a quality football player. If something happens to Bijan Robinson, I've now hit the double whammy. Let's see, almost back on the clock. See, this is where I need. What's Goff's ADP? I don't think I can push him. God damn it! But Pacheco looks nice. Yeah, first of all, let's take Pacheco. Let's get our maximum ADP value, and then goddamn Baker fell, and I don't have a buck. That stinks. Let's just make sure there's nobody that oh my god, I can't believe Jordan Mason, missing out on Jordan Mason. Do I push him? Do I push Goff and take Mason? Fuck. I just really want Goff on this team. I think I really want Goff on this team. So let's do it. I like Fields fine. But this team is built around the Lions. If I was going to forego Goff, it would have been for Jordan Mason because he's a really high priority for me. He actually plays against the Lions in week 17. That was tough. I here's what I'll say. In a normal BBM room, definitely on DraftKings, I would probably try to push it. Or excuse me, in a normal BBM room, I would probably just take Goff. In this room where I know it's a bunch of you guys and I have a little bit more faith everybody stays in their lane, what I really should have done is who has Amon-Ra? Go Vikes has Amon-Ra. See, he doesn't have he took Baker. So I don't think I don't he's not passing on Goff twice. He doesn't have a quarterback. See, I got lucky. I should have looked at that. See, we're not locked in. It's May 4th, May 15th. We're not fully locked in yet, but he has Amon. What I should have done, right, is be like, okay, well, I have a bunch of the Lions. Who has Amon-Ra? And of course, technically Gibbs, though. And so look at that. Big Truckin has Gibbs, doesn't have a quarterback. So neither the Amon-Ra or the Gibbs drafter had Goff. So like the odds that they both pass on him, not once, but twice, and he comes back to me, I think it's very, very slim. So yeah, see, Grant is the Amon-Ra drafter, and so he was going to take Goff. So thank you, Grant. Make me feel better about myself. Gave South Jordan Mason though. Grant, do you have? Oh yeah, see, it works out. Grant has a Buka. So we're all happy. Everybody's happy. Yeah, Giants, Raiders, little neighbors, Bowers, neighbors, Genty. Scat versus Tracy. I prefer Scataboo, but Tracy's fallen. Tracy's starting to fall, and so I'm probably going to get a little bit of each of them. I don't have like a crazy take, honestly. It feels like I don't mean this like as the players, but it feels a little bit like Warren Najee to me, where like I like Scataboo better, which is hilarious that in this example, Scataboo is Jalen Warren and Tracy is Najee. So clearly, stylistically, that's not the correct comp. But in terms of how I feel about them, last year I liked Warren better, but I was just going to draft both of them. And then Najee really started to fall and Warren really started to rise. So I actually think I had a little bit more Najee by the end of the summer, like across all sites. But I'm just going to draft both of them. I'm probably not going to take a huge stand on either. Damien says, I don't understand this is fair, ambiguous situation for a bad team. I think it's just the ambiguous part. And Tracy, like, was quite good. Devin Singletary and Tyrone Tracy scored quite a bit of fantasy points last year, actually, for that bad team. Offensive line upgrades for the Giants. Theoretically quarterback upgrades for the Giants. So it's just somebody's going to win out there probably. We'll see. I'm with you. I'm not like I'm not like crazy into WFN says it's an amphibious situation because Scataboo leapfrogs Tracy. Well played. Very well played. All right, back on the clock. See, you really need to do a little bit more prep here. Marvin Mims, I know Bo Nix is gone. Oh, there's all kinds of Broncos here at the top of the screen jumping off the page in orange. Oof. I haven't drafted Mims yet either. I know I don't have Nix, but that's fine. I got Goff. We'll do a little secondary stack here. Now, do I push quarterback? David Montgomery and Pacheco. So I don't really want Javonte on this team. Do I push quarterback or do I take one of my favorite quarterbacks and look to backstack them? We're going to do Herbert. I know he's like impossible to backstack. Did you take falling Knicks and then I just started scooping all the Broncos? Where are you picking? 4th, 5th? Burrow, falling Knicks. Yep. That's what happens. You know that. You're a vet. When you take the falling quarterback, That the falling quarterback is that what's the commercial where they're dangling the thing on the, like, trying to dangle something on the stick or whatever? Like, you're never gonna get it or whatever it is. That's the falling quarterback. Like, we can't help ourselves. It's like, oh my god, this guy's 2 rounds after ADP. I just can't help it. But the draft, you got Evan Ingram, worked out fine. I'm not saying you were wrong for taking him. It's just like, you guys know, like, it's so hard to resist that falling quarterback, and then you take it, and every time you're like, God damn it. Like, like, I mean, I just took Justin Herbert. I probably should have taken Drake May, but it is what it is. Will you backstack Herbert with Williams? Yeah, I got some spicy backstacks for Herbert that are I don't know how spicy. Maybe they're like Taco Bell level spice, because it's probably not that great. But there's options. Mike Williams, Keandre Lambert Smith, one of the tight ends. Yeah, and I obviously have already taken Sam Laporta, so I'm in a good spot at tight end. I can take a crappy late round tight end. To the early drafting for BBM, the late tight ends are one of those spots that you can avoid, right? We don't need to do the KC running back thing because there's just tight ends. Like, I know that Will Dissly and Tyler Conklin are going to make the team. If you prefer a Rondé Gadsden, I'm not sure that he's a guarantee to make the team, though I would bet on it. QJ is going to make the team. We don't have to like it, but it's going to happen. Keandre Lambert Smith, quite frankly, is probably going to make the team, but the tight ends are just like, I know that they're going to make the team. You know what I mean? So, like, I'm not taking unnecessary risks. I may not get a whole shitload of fantasy points, but never catch a falling Knicks. Consider that one stolen. Absolutely not fire. I agree. I should have done May, but I keep doing Drake May. And I really like Justin Herbert, and I really like the Chargers. So I fell into my own trap. Falling QB value. Not all that glitters is gold. 100%. What are your thoughts on team stacks without the QB? It's one of my favorite things to do in all of best ball. I think it's one of the most underrated, right? People think about roster construction only as how many quarterbacks did you take, and how many running backs did you take, and what draft capital, right? Which, like, there's lots of other elements to roster construction, and the one that nobody seems to ever talk about is, I call them, you can call it stacking without the quarterback or secondary stacks, right? So my main stack is tied to my quarterback. My secondary stacks, I can still draft an offense and just not use the quarterback score. Like, what's wrong with that? Okay, it's time to lock in. I don't know if we're going to do QJ, but I am going to put him in the queue. No pun intended. We're going to take Tyler Algier first, and then I'm going to sit here and sulk over whether I'm going to take QJ or I'm going to take one of the tight ends. QJ is just so bad, dude. Could lose role to Trey Harris. I never read these blurbs. I really don't want to do. Let's skip QJ because I really like this running back range. Braylon, as you can see here, I have a whole boatload of Braylon Allen, so we are gonna take me some Braylon. See, running back quantity. We'll get there. We'll get there. Don't you worry, whoever it was. We'll get there. See, this is the other thing. I think so. McCarthy just goes off the board, which nice price on JJ McCarthy. Tua, but like, I don't want unstacked Tua because he doesn't run at all. Kim Ward, I like. Bryce Young. I know some people like Matthew Stafford. I don't love drafting Matthew Stafford. It's certainly not an underdog. Geno is like the cutoff for me, where I'm like, once Geno is gone, I don't really want to be, at least not yet, dipping my toes into those other quarterbacks. And so I don't push it that much. And I know, can't believe you're going to draft a backstacked. That's funny. and not yet technically. I haven't hit the full volume at running back, but we will. Don't worry. Thank you, Tim Longacre, TM Longacre, for taking QJ from me, so I didn't torture myself with that. But the quarterback landscape this year is so different that I'm really trying to avoid kind of really anything past Geno right now, at least. Because I just we don't know who's going to be the starter. I'm not sure any of those guys are ever going to hold the job. I'm kind of trying not to fall past the Geno spot, and so I'm willing to maybe it's not the perfect quarterback structure, right, with Herbert, or someone like Herbert when I don't have one. If I don't have Ladd, or I don't have Trey Harris, or you take who else is here? Penix, Stroud, right? Lawrence, like backstack Lawrence with Diami or Brenton Strange, or take one of these tight ends, right? I would rather do that than take a quarterback I just really don't like. So I do like Geno. Geno's ADP seems low to me when we're drafting 2 Raiders up top. Yeah. So the only thing I'll say is I don't love the logic of we're drafting the skill guys earlier, so the quarterback's ADP should be correlated to that, because that's not really how it works, right? The quarterback, his profile is a big part of his ADP, right? We saw this. How many years did we see this with Ben Roethlisberger at the end? It was like Juju was expensive, Deontay was expensive, Chase Claypool was expensive, Najee was expensive, Freiermuth was expensive. All these guys are expensive, and it's like Big Ben is free. It's like, yeah, because Big Ben doesn't. We're not drafting those. We're not drafting those other guys because of Geno. He's just fine. I do think actually. I'm not saying he's Big Ben. I like Geno actually quite a bit, but I just don't. I don't want to subscribe to the look at how expensive all the pass catchers are. It's like they can be priced up because Geno can be the point guard, right? That's kind of Matthew Stafford. Like Stafford can absolutely feed those guys enough so that they can eat, but I don't really think that makes Stafford a good pick in and of himself. God, I'm absolutely so sick of taking Jalen Wright. Let's do something different. So first of all, we're reaching. Okay. I know what was going to happen if I didn't take Will Shipley here. So let's go ahead, and I haven't taken Devin Neal yet. I've taken a good amount of Dylan Sampson. Now I got to decide. I really much prefer. So let's wait. Let's do a running back. Let's do Devin Neal. I really don't love him either. Really don't love him, and I don't think he's an outstanding fit on what we're talking about here today. But I do feel more confident he's going to make the team. That was a little bit of a tricky spot, I think, in terms of the kind of a lot of the stuff we talked about early. Though Devin Neal could technically be in this category of get ready for Devin Neal is over Kendre Miller. But of course, that's how he's priced, right? Kendre's free. Devin Neal is here in the 160s and 170s, 180s. I don't love it. I got kind of backed into it. A little bit. But I take, as you saw, I think a lot more Jalen Wright and a lot more Dylan Sampson. And I love them, but I also don't mind mixing it up a little bit amongst these guys. Someone take Cam Ward so I don't take Tyler Shuck above him. Let's see. Also easier to get a tight end in rounds into rounds 1, 2 because the points required is lower, and Genty being nuts doesn't. Yeah, right. Genty being super, right. Bowers is up there because Bowers is a superstar and Geno is helping him, but Bowers is going to be really expensive almost regardless. And Genty smashing is not really necessarily tied to Geno smashing. So additional good points. Yeah, Shuck is still free and he should be the starter, but not interested. Yeah, like he's the backstop. He's the, oh shit. I didn't get a QB2 or whatever. I'll take Tyler Shuck, but it's not fun. He says as he just drafted a Saints fucking 5th round running back, rookie running back. But you get it. Like, I'm just trying not to draft guys that I don't think are good and then are also on bad teams if I can help it. Like 2 rounds more expensive is in this draft, JJ McCarthy, Geno Smith, right? Tua, Bryce Young. If you like Stafford more than me, like I can just move up a little bit and get like good, legitimately just like good quarterback and often on a good offense. Or, JJ McCarthy has even less risk than Tyler Shuck as being good. I don't know, whatever. Opinions may vary on that, but he was a top pick and he's on the Vikings. It's just like Vikings quarterbacks just like don't fail. So like I can just go up a little bit in price and get that guy. I would rather do that. Mr. in the 10 hole. Oh, you're Longacre. So let's see. You took Genty Henry. Okay. I'm not a big Derrick Henry guy, but I get it. It's underdog. Go for it. Genty, never gonna say anything too negative about Genty. Lamar, Zay, all right. Addison. I'm not a huge Addison guy. Also fully expect the suspension, but that's okay. I just don't think the suspension is priced in. Okay. Packer stack, like it. B-Rob C. I think you're a little weak at wide receiver. Right? 3 tight ends already. Took Jordan Love when you had Lamar Jackson. Zay, Addison, Golden, Jaden Reed, Besh. I just think it's a little light at wide receiver. That's a lot of tight ends. Schultz, Otten. It's a lot of tight ends for a team that is hurting at wide receiver. Okay, I need a tight end, a wide receiver. All right, let's get our running back here. We're gonna do the epitome of this early drafting concept, where I am taking Woody Marks because you know what? Woody Marks is a 4th round pick, and they gave up a future 3rd round pick to get him. Do I do Pat Bryant and go way too much Broncos here? Oh no, sir. We gotta load this Lions sucker on up. I talked about team stacking. Gotta live by the rules. If you're gonna create content talking about these different things, you better friggin' do it. Draft a bunch of running backs. We drafted 7. Onslaught some offense. What's better than the Detroit Lions? So we took Jamo, Laporta, Demont, and Isaac Tesla. I'm not calling you Tesla. And now you guys can probably guess what we're looking at in round 18. Not much better than if Woody Marks is something and being able to pop into the Discord. If you haven't joined the Spike Week Discord, that we have a game day chat channel where everybody hangs out and just like sweats, tilts, celebrates the games while they're going on. And everybody's just like last year, like Jordan Mason would score a touchdown and there's like 47 straight messages of Mason, whatever. Like the Woody Marks is just so beautiful to be able to post Woody from Toy Story GIFs every time he does something. So how can we pass on that? Kellen Moore offense with Olave and Shaheed. I don't have that much, but not going to have none. I'm with you. Did Eagles add another running back besides Shipley? Obviously has AJ Dillon. Another drafter after this. Unfortunately, no. But we'll be back tomorrow. And I am taking every Sunday morning. My good friend Spike Weeker Rob Coakley does a Sunday morning draft where we just hang out, a little casual, not quite as let's talk about BBM strategies, like a little bit more fun that we will do on Sunday morning, and I'm filling in for Rob because he can't do it. So be plenty of drafts the next couple of days. Unfortunately, I cannot do another one after this. The real world comes calling. Sean says, what are your thoughts on Emmanuel Wilson versus Marshawn Lloyd and Braylon Allen versus Isaiah Davis? I'm starting to get really squeamish on Marshawn Lloyd. I have Marshawn Lloyd ranked ahead. I'm not going to draft 0 probably Marshawn Lloyd, but Emmanuel Wilson was not bad last year. I'm a little squeamish. And then the second one is slam dunk Braylon. Slam dunk Braylon for me. This is definitely a Ralph approved lineup. Go Lions. Yeah. All the Lions fans in the Discord. Okay. So now I know everybody loves Tyler Conklin, but I'm team Will Dissly. Also, Woody is a nice little week 17 bring back, of course, for the Charger stack. We take Will Dissly to close it out. I'm team Will Dissly over Tyler Conklin. I totally understand if you are on the opposite side of that. I got no issues. We don't got to fight about it. We can all be friends. We don't need to get up in arms over Tyler Conklin versus Will Dissly. They're both going to be fucking useless. But you know what? This team needed Will Dissly. Okay. When you take Justin Herbert unstacked, sometimes you have to do disgusting things. No comment on that one. Let's see. Thank you, Stefan. I'll run down this team. King of Kings, I'm kind of weak at wide receiver too. That's what. See, it's so easy. It's so easy to be weak at wide receiver. Let's move my face a little bit over this direction. All right. 101, because God bless Underdog. We love getting the 101 when we're streaming. Makes life so much easier. Jamar Chase, Garrett Wilson, Rashee Rice. Hadn't taken Garrett Wilson there. You can the 2-3 turn, man. Choose your own adventure. You're not losing the draft at that spot. Cortland Sutton for the first time. Jamison Williams. So obviously 5 straight wide receivers. Sam Laporta falls back to me. David Montgomery. So we start to build out the little alliance thing, right? Then it comes back. Isaiah Pacheco, who I do really like. Also a nice little fit. I think Demont and Pacheco are really good fits on 0 running back teams, where Demont is just a great pick, I think, overall. Standalone value, contingent value on one of the best offenses, not the best offense in the NFL. Like, he's just a great pick. Pacheco, we were drafting significantly higher last year, and certainly the outlook is worse. But Chiefs starting running back, on 0 RB teams at pick 96. Yeah, I'm down to do that. Took Goff because he wasn't going to come back to me there at that turn as well. And then attached another, Marvin Mims on here to give me a little Broncos stack without Knicks, which there was a great question about stacking without the quarterback. That's why I did that. Of course, there's a little, I got 2 Chiefs, 2 Broncos, right? So we're building out secondary stacks. They happen to play each other in week 17. That's great. But nice little secondary stacks, whether or not those teams are playing each other in week 17. Took Herbert unstacked, knowing it's going to be a QJ or a Dissly or a Keandre Lambert-Smith or a Conklin if you prefer, right? But I didn't want to fall into the sketchy area of quarterback and then be backstacking even worse quarterbacks. I'm also just a huge fan of Justin Herbert this year. Then we start piling on the running backs. This is when the running back quantity comes in, right? We got our Pacheco Demont at the top, which is a nice little strong start to 0 running back room. And then we start piling on the backups, essentially. Tyler Algier, Braylon Allen, Will Shipley, Devin Neal, Woody Marks, right? So they all kind of fit that mold of what we were talking about before, like some form of uncertainty, some form of this guy's just a target, right? This is a pressure edge, Will Shipley, pressure edge, Braylon Allen, or this is uncertain, but not uncertain roster spots, right? Not uncertain roster spots. Devin Neal's the only thing that could maybe, be sketchy there. Took my 7th wide receiver, add on to the, right? The team stack up a team. Lions, Isaac Tesla, and then second tight end, Will Dissly, avoiding any craziness in the 18th round with a, somebody, Savion Williams, Jimmy Horn, right? Avoiding something like that, but getting a second tight end who's attached to my Justin Herbert pick. Let's close this. Oh my, look at that. let's close this out. Thank you guys for joining. If you can, hit subscribe and hit like on the way out. We really, really appreciate it. And we'll be back tomorrow with another draft. Be on the lookout this weekend for a new Legendary Sickos. Come join me on Sunday. Hop in the Discord, subscribe, get the tools, come join us in the community, come hang out, and of course, be back for all of our draft streams. We're off and running, baby. We got the playoff schedule. We got everything we need to have a hot, fun best ball summer. I'll see you guys next time. Enjoy the rest of your evening and weekend if I don't see you. Peace.
Woo! Those were some spicy takes. Want to stay up to date with all of the other spicy takes we're going to have over here at Spike Week? Why don't you press that subscribe button below? You turn notifications on, we draft a team, boom, you know about it. We have another spicy take, boom, you know about it. You can be there, you can draft with us. You want to stay up to date? That's how you do it. All right, we'll catch you later next time here at Spike Week.